There is a kind of garden that doesn't have any flowers, water, or plants, but it still calms the mind better than any other. The Zen garden, which is called Karesansui in Japanese, has its roots in Japan from the late 12th century, but it was in the Muromachi period, which lasted from the 14th to the 16th centuries, that these gardens really took off. They weren't like most places, which were full of bright flowers. They were tools for meditation, simple landscapes made to relax the mind. For hundreds of years, the Japanese Zen garden has been around. But the most interesting thing about the garden isn't the plants themselves. It's what they show us about how we live. When we look closely, we can see that each part has a philosophy that speaks to our daily lives. And when you start to see these patterns, things change. 3 principles support everything behind this simple idea. 3 ways to set up space and, in a way, life itself. Principle 1. Kanso, simplicity, the use of sand. The whole garden is set up according to the rule of simplicity. In Japanese aesthetics, simplicity means having only what you need. Anything that doesn't contribute to a clearer space is removed. Every stone in a Zen garden carries a specific weight, and its placement is deliberate. There are no parts that are just there to fill space. A lot of the garden is made up of white sand areas, which make the space clean and organized with no visual clutter. By reducing the number of things to focus on at once, it allows the mind to relax. The sand in these gardens represents water, even though it's not actually there. This is shown through patterns made with a wooden rake. This process is called simon. These patterns help define the space and draw the viewer's attention. Straight lines suggest calmness, while curved patterns suggest movement and waves. Raking demands unwavering concentration. The individual must maintain a consistent rhythm, be precise, and stay on task. The pattern structure is disrupted when the mind wanders. This process helps the practitioner focus on both the garden and the task at hand. The concept of Kanso focuses on identifying what is important and eliminating the rest. When faced with clutter, for example, people usually try to add more tools, information, or answers. However, reducing distractions is what actually brings clarity and makes it easier to focus. Putting this into practice in everyday life means making areas that aren't always busy. Times when there are no distractions and focus can stay steady. You can do this by doing one task at a time with care, or by just letting there be times when no new information comes in. The concept of a sand space in life embodies a pristine mental realm, wherein only the fundamental elements remain engaged, a place that can move like water. In the end, Kanso leaves us with unavoidable questions. What are you willing to let go of to finally see clearly? What can you remove right now? Principle 2. Fukinsei, asymmetry, stones and unbalanced balance. The second most important rule for Zen gardens is that they are not symmetrical. Japanese aesthetics clearly prefer shapes and compositions that aren't regular and don't repeat or mirror each other. A lot of cultures try to find perfection by using straight lines and equal parts. The Zen garden finds peace in differences. This choice makes the garden more like how nature works. The main parts of this piece are stones called ishi. They are the main parts of the garden's structure. They are the things that stay the same in a space that can change. They are the parts that hold the whole thing together. Wind can move sand and change its patterns, but stones stay where they are. They don't follow the flow. They give it a point of reference. That's why where they go is so important. Fukinsei says that these stones should never be arranged in a way that is symmetrical. An irregular composition is used, and it usually has odd numbers. A bigger stone usually plays the main role, and smaller stones fill in different spaces in the structure. The components have different levels of importance, and they are also connected to each other. The idea of stones as a foundation helps us understand what is truly important in life, which changes how we see balance. Sharing time, energy, and attention fairly is a common desire. We act like all areas need to get the same amount of effort for life to work. In practice, this kind of balance doesn't last very long. Sometimes need more work focus. There are times when buildings are being built and times when they are being maintained. Trying to level everything all the time causes more wear than stability. Fukinsei suggests a different way of doing things. It is mostly about building a structure. It means knowing the things in your life that don't change and using them to help you make decisions. From there, you can build the rest of your plans. These constants can be values, relationships, goals, or unbreakable promises. They serve as unchanging points of reference, remaining stable even when everything else changes. Finding a place for everything brings a sense of order. This understanding allows for the natural ebb and flow of things, where some aspects expand and contract without upsetting the overall equilibrium. Just like in a garden, things work well together when they help each other. These clear structures provide stability during changes in your daily life. These elements are the building blocks of your existence. They are the choices and values that are most important to you and help you live your life. Principle 3. Wabi-sabi, impermanence. Plants and moss, time and acceptance. Then we come to Wabi-sabi, which is probably the most beautiful idea Japan has ever sent to other countries. It is the skill of seeing beauty in things that aren't perfect or last forever. In the garden, it's the stone that's been worn down by the weather, the moss that slowly spreads over a surface, and the autumn leaf that falls on the gravel and stays there, just being part of it. Moss, or koke, is a prime example of this. Its slow growth means it can take years to cover a surface. Because of this, it's often seen as a symbol of time and lasting presence. And this sense of time isn't limited to moss. Trees also carry these marks in the way their trunks bend, crack, and slowly reshape over the years. This is why Japanese gardens deliberately avoid perfect or symmetrical designs. They follow the nature of things, highlighting twisted trunks, scars from snow or wind, and other natural imperfections. These features reflect the plant's ability to adapt and survive in challenging environments. The same thing happens with the seasons. Japanese maples, for instance, undergo a transformation throughout the seasons, their colors shifting, leaves falling, and forms evolving. Nothing remains static, and this constant flux is a key ingredient in the garden's appeal. The fallen leaves aren't immediately removed. They linger, becoming part of the landscape. Seen this way, what we usually call flaws start to look different. Irregularities, wear, and incompleteness begin to settle into the flow of things, carrying the marks of time without asking to be corrected. That same movement extends beyond the garden. In daily life, things rarely arrive in a finished state. Plans shift, routines lose their shape, and the body itself changes in ways that can't be fully directed. Work happens in fragments. Effort gathers in uneven steps. Results take form gradually, often without a clear boundary between what is complete and what is still unfolding. The garden holds this quietly. Stones remain uneven. Sand patterns can always be altered. Leaves fall and stay for a while. Nothing settles into a final version, and still, the whole continues. Life happens in the present, with all its imperfections. In practice, this means dealing with what you have right now, with the tools and energy you have, instead of waiting for a perfect situation that doesn't exist in nature. By applying the simplicity of Kanso, the naturalness of Fukinsei, and the acceptance of Wabi-sabi, we learn to work with reality exactly as it is.